This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Hello, America, and welcome to the #1 radio station in all of Fort Myers Beach. Beach Talk Radio. Here are your hosts, Kim and Ed Ryan.
Yeah, baby. Very nice. You people didn't applaud. I'm going to have to ask you to leave. No, thank you all for coming. What a crowd today. Oh, my gosh. A blast from the past over there in the back. You see who's here? Wow. That is a Peach Timeout shirt right there, everybody. He bought that shirt at Peach Timeout when we were doing the show at Table 23. You guys have been coming down to the beach for like a long time. You're getting old. Yeah, she's getting old too because she fell walking yesterday, and that's what happens when you're elderly. You fall down when you're walking. So my wife never helps out. She never helps out putting the stuff out. I said, can you do me a favor, being that you came late and I was sitting here for half an hour? I said, can you help set up the equipment?
First of all, you got here after I got here.
Well, I was tooling around town, biking, getting some steps in so I could drink beer.
Steps in.
Yeah.
Cycles in.
And so she sets up the equipment, and then she throws my headphones on the floor. And this is what happens when I let my wife hook up the equipment. This is what happens. Yeah. She broke my $70 headphones.
However, first of all, that can be fixed with tape. But what you will notice,
duct tape.
And you guys will appreciate this because it usually happens on the Sunday show. How many times have we started the show and something has been wrong?
Very
and we've had to stop and restart it? At least 5 times. But I set this up the first time ever, not one problem. Everybody can hear your big mouth.
Everybody give my wife a big round of applause for just being perfect. Just being perfect. And relevant, by the way.
Oh, well, that's irrelevant. But my hair, yes. With this humidity going down, it is helpful.
Before we get to the vice mayor who is filling in for Mayor Allers today, the mayor is on vacation, and he has been told to leave his phone in the hotel room, which I doubt he's going to do. But he's in Jacksonville watching the Minnesota Vikings play the Jacksonville Jaguars, which is a 1:00 game. They'll be sending pictures from the stadium. So a much deserved vacation for the mayor. And we are going to talk to the vice mayor, and Kim's promised to be very mean to the vice mayor today. And I don't know why. She's got a bone to pick with the vice mayor.
Why do you say that?
I don't know. You were practicing last night she was looking in the mirror and making facial expressions. Jim, why did you vote for CJ, Jim? Tell us why you voted for CJ.
No, you know why he's bringing that up? Because he watches that stupid show, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Broken Skull Ranch. Have you guys ever seen that? Oh,
and
my
this
gosh.
Guy, he was making all these faces while he was doing this competition.
It's an obstacle course thing on the it's on the comedy channel. No, it's on the country channel, whatever. All right, so we're gonna
talk about irrelevant.
We're gonna invite Councilman Scott Safford up and Tori from. Go ahead and applaud for Scott. Scott was recently reelected to the town council, everybody. So I wanted to say congratulations to Scott yesterday, but we kind of ran out of time and he had other things to do. We're going to have to move over everybody's in the photo here. So move on down, everybody. There we go. We need to, hey,
can you
help us out? Just got to pull it back so we weren't expecting 4 guests. So there we go.
All right. We're
just straight back. There we go. Perfect. Yeah. So Scott, congratulations on being reelected as the incumbent, which was a little odd because the town with the elections office said, yes, once you're appointed, you're even the incumbent. So you are now on for 4 more years.
4 more years.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. I'm sorry I left yesterday. I was putting up sand sculpting signs.
Yeah.
All over town.
The 34th annual sand sculpting event is coming up in a few weeks. This is going to be distracting the whole day. I'm sorry.
Put it under your hat.
I'm going to get some tape from somebody. So, and you're here for a different reason though. So
Yes, I am. I'm here for a different reason. Tori and I were in leadership lead this year, and our class project is going to be on Wednesday at La Ola, and I'm going to have Tori talk all about it.
Yeah, so we're doing a fundraiser for the Homeless Coalition in Lee County. And with our Leadership Lee group, we went to different organizations in Lee County trying to see what problems were here that we could really help. We really noticed an issue with homelessness, especially it was pretty dear to Scott at the beach. And after Hurricane Ian, we really saw that issue take fold. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about what you were
it's
seeing.
crazy. I mean, we see the devastation from the hurricane, but we don't see what happens behind the scenes. So many people were displaced. So many people lost their jobs. Housing went up. On top of that, all those whammies, we had inflation. So there are a lot of people out there that are really, really struggling. And this project is near and dear to my heart because instead of offering a hammock, it actually offers a trampoline. They're actually going after people that are what are called pre-homeless, the couch surfers, the people that are just barely hanging on, that can't afford the first month, last month, final rent because they're either unemployed or their jobs have been, cut back severely. So I mean, it's crazy how many people are pre-homeless in Lee County right now.
And it's really interesting. I sat down with the president or the CEO of the Homeless Coalition, and he had told me so much about how the faces of homelessness are changing. And where in Lee and Collier County, if you're not making as a family of four $92,000 a year, you're considered low income and you're going to be struggling to afford a 2-bedroom apartment. And now it's not, the person who may necessarily be a drug addict on the streets, what you would think of as a homeless person. It really is a employed 2-employment family with kids who are struggling. I mean, even a couple years ago, my rent for a 2-bedroom went up from $1,800 to $3,200 suddenly. And if I didn't have my own business, I wouldn't be able to just kind of keep up with that demand. And salaries aren't going up. These are teachers, or police officers, or service workers. So we really found this really near and dear, and we felt like we could really create some awesome impact. So our event is going to be this upcoming Wednesday, November 13th from 5 to 8 p.m. at Laola Surfside in Bell Tower Shops. And it's going to be $30 per ticket. And that $30 gets you access. We're going to have appetizers, food, High Tide is playing. And then we're also going to have silent auction items. And we have some big items too. We have like a fire pit. I don't know if you want to talk about some of these, Scott. We have
Gavin's donated a wheelbarrow and we filled it up with liquor.
I don't know why I guessed that, but
it's Gavin's. It's going to be great. We have live music too.
Everybody knows Gavin's Ace Hardware.
Yes. Gavin's Ace Hardware. So there's a lot of great prizes. We're going to get some. We had some local businesses chip in. So we've got some silent auction items as well as live auction items and gift baskets.
I'd like to throw in a trip to Africa with Kim if anyone would like to be part of that. She said she was originally she said she was never going back, and all of a sudden they're trying to go back again. They have these Zoom calls where they get on the phone and they talk about what's going on in Africa. And, sorry, I didn't mean to sidetrack that, but
you're fine.
So we'll go to Africa.
Yeah. The kids in Africa, what is amazing when you watch the videos is the kids in Africa, they're just happy to have shoes or happy to have somebody that helps them move their muscles or whatever it is. And then you get kids on, I've said this before,
wow, you're
in America,
really segueing
to that protest on campus with a mask on and, don't know the
Well, I think,
sorry.
But I think the kid thing, it is important to mention in this discussion that the face of homelessness is really starting to represent kids. There's a lot of kids, there's a lot of families, like you said, that are working, as hard as they can, but the pays are not keeping up with the cost of living.
And what happens is when people become homeless, then there's despair, there's anguish, they're opening themselves up to all kinds of different things. I mean, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, and that circle, it's harder to get out of. So I really appreciate Lee County attacking the issue before it becomes a problem. I mean, it's a problem, but it could be a very worse problem. So thanks. Anything else?
Yeah.
I was going to say, I know Beach Talk Radio shared the video that we made for it. So that was me and my company. We made that video and we interviewed the president and CEO of the chamber, and I'm sorry, not the chamber, the Homeless Coalition. And in that video, I highlighted specifically what you were saying with teachers and children. There was a story he told me where there was a Lee County teacher. She was a single income mom and she had a daughter, and every morning she would drop her daughter off to school and then she would have to go work at the school and they'd come back and they'd be living in their car. They'd have to go to McDonald's to
Yep.
shower or Planet Fitness to get ready. And that's the reality. You just can't survive on a one-income household anymore in Lee
Yeah.
County.
If you ever watch the Lee County Board meeting, you can tell that they really are trying to attack the homeless
Yes.
issue. There was about a year ago, they tried to get the homeless people out of the intersections because they weren't trying to stop them from asking for money, but they were trying to keep them safe. They were in some of the homeless people were in some of the most dangerous intersections asking for money. I mean, some of the medians were tiny, and they, I thought every once in a while I was going to hit them with the mirror because they were so close. So the other day I saw somebody standing and he had a little dog. He didn't look very old. He had a little dog and the dog had glasses on it. And then you're sitting at the red light. You feel like shit because this is a guy who's got no home and he's got his dog there. And do you give the person money, or how do you help somebody like that?
Yeah.
Well, that's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, that's at the point where now they're begging. What we're trying to do is get that other 90% that you don't see, that you don't.
Well, you're
just are
trying
out
to
there.
catch them before they're put in the situation where
Correct.
they have to do something that's, unsafe or illegal, God forbid. You're trying to catch people before they fall so far that they have no choice but to do something that they otherwise would not do.
Absolutely.
And it is way cheaper to catch them at that spot than it is once they're already on the street. Because I know Michael had told me it was about $10,000 if somebody's out on the street to be able to get them housed. Where here we have a sponsorship available where you can sponsor a family. It's $1,900 to be able to get a family to stay or to be able to get them into a more sustainable and comfortable place to live, essentially. So it's only $1,900. That's our top sponsorship package. But anything helps at this point too. Our tickets are $30. And then also on top of being able to help the homeless too, if you come out to the event, we have leaders from so many different top organizations in Lee County. We have LCEC represented. We have Lee Health. We have the Lee County Sheriff's Office. They're actually coming out with their ice cream truck. So they're going to give out free ice cream too.
I can't believe the sheriff's department has an ice cream truck. How cool is that?
It's awesome.
One time I just want to see Carmine behind the, when you open up the window, there's Carmine in the white Mr. Softy outfit serving ice cream in the ice cream truck.
Well, listen,
He
I make
would
no
do it.
promises, but you might see it Wednesday. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you come out Wednesday, you might see that. Or
Now,
at least
can I ask you a
different
personal
officer.
question?
Absolutely.
How old are you?
I'm 26.
So 26 years old. What got you so interested or involved in helping the homeless?
So I was born and raised in Southwest Florida, and I have seen the economic progression here. I have been a child of immigrant parents who have their own business, who don't make a ton of money, but they came here when there was nothing. I watched Coconut Point go from cow fields to Coconut Point, and I'm from Estero. And when I came back from college, I wanted to have that dream of living at home, in my hometown, being able to raise my kids here close to my parents. My grandparents are in Poland. Again, like I said, I have immigrant parents. So my dream was for my kids to not have to be far away from their grandparents. And I got displaced. Like I said, my rent went up from $1,800 to $3,200. And I've seen that time and time again in my generation where people are working salary jobs like this full-time, 40 hours a week, HR, teachers, good educated college, post-college jobs, and they can't afford to live.
Yeah.
And they're also on the brink of homelessness, and they're working 2-3 other part-time jobs just to survive. So like I said, the face of homelessness isn't necessarily just the person you're seeing on the street begging for money, or, there's so many faces of homelessness, and a lot of them are, again, just the people you see in my generation who are working really, really hard and still can't get by.
Are you guys wondering what's going on here? You can sit anywhere you want if that's, you can sit anywhere. Have that table. This is a Sunday show we do with the mayor and sometimes the vice mayor when we can't find a guest to fill in for the mayor.
Wow.
So do you have kids?
No.
Oh, you said your kids. So are you going to have kids?
My future kids,
I
yes,
see, I see.
eventually.
Did you vote yes or no on the pot bill?
I voted no, actually.
Very nice.
I am
Glad that went down in flames.
pro legalization, but I had to go move to Michigan for a little bit, actually, after my rent went up, to be able to build up my savings. And when I walked around up in northern Michigan, some of the most beautiful places, all you smelt was weed.
Yeah.
And I kind of have the same views of Ron DeSantis on it, where we're both pro legalization of weed, but just the bill itself was backed by a lot of lobbyists. So
Who'd you vote for in the
Okay,
presidential
dear.
election?
We're not
We
going
won't
to do
answer that
this.
one.
We're not going to do this.
it's
We're
interrogating
not
me
gonna do
now,
this.
but
It just,
A
it's
partisan?
irrelevant.
All
you can
right.
ask me that when I run
It's
for office.
irrelevant.
You're going to run for office?
kidding.
What would you like to run for? If you ever did run for office, what would you run for?
I'm not sure yet. Right now, I'm focusing on grad school. I'm going to get my master's and my doctorate, and then I'll let you know after that.
La
So-
di da. You're going to get a master's too. All the smart people. No, any final thoughts on the event? And there's some flyers here if you guys want to take a look at it. What's the QR code about?
The QR code is how you can get tickets. So you can purchase tickets online through the
Sweet.
Southwest Florida Chamber website. But also because it's hosted at Loyola, I manage Tom's social media. So I post a lot of information about the event on Tom's social media for Loyola Surfside. And I know you guys also shared the video and everything. So I'm sure people can find information on your social media, on the Loyola social media pages to be able to get tickets. But I encourage a lot of people to come out. It's going to be a really beautiful
Yes.
night. It's going to be great. From 5 to 8 p.m. Somebody asked me just what time it's going to be. It will be, again, this Wednesday, November 13th from 5 to 8 p.m. at the Bell Tower Shops location. Live music, food, great cause, and really great networking opportunities with a lot of people here in Southwest Florida, a lot of big names and big leaders.
So Tori, on our StreamYard page, being that you're a social media expert, I used to be able to see everybody's name come up here. Now it just says Facebook user. What did I do wrong? What happened? What's going on here?
You're just growing. So
Oh.
the bigger you are, the less you're going to be able to see. Some people have privacy settings on.
Oh, I see.
Mhm.
Well, we don't want the private people on there. We want to be able to see everybody's name. So, any final thoughts, Scott?
No, thanks for having
Yeah, man.
us.
Thank you very
this,
much.
This again, the reason we're doing this event is Thanksgiving's coming around the corner. Christmas is coming around the corner. When people are feeling down, they're going to be even feeling more down. So that's why we're getting out ahead of it. So thank you, Ed, for having us on the show.
we love Loyola, and again,
Yeah.
the date of the event is
November 13th.
November 13th, everybody,
Wednesday.
this coming week. So if you have a chance, come up and talk to these guys about the event or attend it if you can. Let's get all these people whatever they need. And so thank you guys for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having
Tori,
us.
everybody. Thank you. All right, before we get to they're not pancakes. So before we get to our guest of honor today, he's over there studying his answers. Did you see that? I looked over my shoulder. I saw him studying. I know Kim's going to drill me. I need to tell you about Michael Stewart. You see, Michael Stewart is a structural engineer. Can you get me some duct tape or something, please? Because I have to have my cans on when I'm talking to the vice mayor. Michael Stewart is going to build you a house that won't fall down. Not that a house would ever fall down on Fort Myers Beach, but Michael Stewart will design you a house that will never just fall in the drink or fall on top of a tree. He can design any structure, residential or commercial. He also designs mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. You can give Michael Stewart a call at 239-292-7670. 239-292-7670. Or he's also got a website. It's mstewartpe.com. mstewartpe.com. No, seriously, if you're out there rebuilding a house, please call Michael Stewart before you do anything. The Islands Pancake House is back open for business in the Seagrave Plaza. We were over there yesterday, got them in the walk-around video before we went to the Historical Society. They open at 7:30 and they serve breakfast and lunch. And they're open from 7:30 until 2 o'clock. And they will stay open later because you know they have a full bar. And you don't need a wheelbarrow to go in there with your liquor. You can just order it from the bar. And they are locally owned and operated. Brian and his wife, Stacy, are awesome people. 320-360-3826. Or you can just go on down to the Islands Pancake House and spend some of your money over there. Keep them in business. Morning. All right, ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for the vice mayor for another week, anyway. Jim Adderholt. Yeah, it's been so long since he's been on. Gosh, it must have been about 6 months since you were last on, right, Jim? I see you got dressed up for the show. Thank you very much. No, that's my wife's seat. All right, come on, man. You know the drill. You got number 3. You got notes and everything. What's going on here? Are you going to filibuster me right from the beginning?
Absolutely.
Congratulations on your win. You
Thank
came
you.
in second place out of 4, which is good because you only needed to be in the top 3.
That's
right?
absolutely correct.
And
Thank
you
for-
ran a vicious campaign. It was down and dirty, and your
Not
ads were
true.
horrible. And I
Not
don't know
true.
how you got
Not
away
true.
with it.
All positive. All positive. So, a couple quick things. I just ate an island pancake on Friday. Met a client there, and it was spectacular.
Yep.
I had the bigger breakfast. They have phenomenal sausage links. Their eggs are always cooked perfectly. I've never understood you could actually order them over medium so they're just a little less ready and they're perfectly cooked. So that over mediums, and then they have home fries that are, sometimes you get home fries that are out of a frozen bag. They actually make real home fries on the grill. They're just spectacular.
If I'd have known you were going to do that, I would have let you read the ad.
I would have been happy to.
Yeah. All right. So this is so unprofessional, this show. So much dead air.
All good.
Oh, we got the duct tape. All right. What else did you want to say, Jim? You said you had a couple of things.
Well, now you talk about filibustering. I think this will be a welcome filibuster. Now, I had just in interest of full disclosure, I texted Ed last night to say I had an update on Santini Plaza, and that's particularly on the south end. Quite frankly, for the whole island, it's people are very interested in Santini Plaza. It's beloved, and we've struggled for a long time, but we're making real progress. So I said, Ed, I'd like to offer an update tomorrow. And so I noticed on Facebook, he's got Adderhold has breaking news, so he's hyped this thing a lot. So, but I do think it's some information that'll be really helpful to folks who know and love Santini Plaza, because Santini Plaza is back and it's on the move. So if I could, Ed, it's going to take it. Feel free to interject with questions and so forth. But I was just there this morning again.
We wouldn't interrupt you.
and the audience too, if they have questions, because this Santini Plaza is really.
Before you get started, I did put up there breaking news, and so the mayor texted me like at 5:00 this morning. What's the breaking news?
I got the same text. I got the same text.
I said, Dan, your phone is supposed to be put away. Why are you looking at Facebook and texting me questions? You should be relaxing. But
so I talked to Sharon, who's the on-site location manager, yesterday, and then so this morning, and she sent me a great map that hopefully will be posted on their website, and I can certainly have you posted as well, Ed. But I didn't want the map, but Sharon gave me some updates as well. So I walked it this morning, and so let's start on the north end of Santini Plaza. When we think north end, that's the part of Santini Plaza that's literally across from the CVS, the fire station, and so forth. Used to be a Birkenstock store. There used to be a physical therapist, Subway, and then even I think a financial services company had an office there. And so Surf Style is going in there, but it's a large Surf Style. And actually, as I was walking by, the manager was there, so she let me in. And I got a little tour of it this morning. It's huge. And one of the really cool things about it, from a personal standpoint, is that they have maintained the Birkenstock tradition, and they will be selling Birkenstocks at the Surf Style. I have a pair on this morning, not from Surf Style, but I said a couple years ago that I would never ever wear Birkenstocks because they had that kind of weird sandals hippie thing going, and my wife made me try a pair, and I've never gone back. It's the most comfortable shoe I've ever owned.
This show is only 1 hour long,
Yep.
and I do have questions for you.
All right, and so I'm just telling you, Surf Style is going to be open midweek this week. It'll be a soft opening. And then next to Surf Style, as we continue around the plaza, is a place called Island Liquors. It's a very good sized liquor store.
Oh, look at this.
And that should be open in a couple weeks.
They don't give a shit about the Birkenstocks. They just want the liquor.
Fair point. I wanted to get their attention. So the Surf Style owns Island Liquors. It's its own separate company, and there are other Island Liquors around Southwest Florida. If you Googled Island Liquors, you could find out. And then next to the Island Liquors, and this is firm, they're just working on getting open, is John Gavin Ace Hardware is opening there, which most folks know. But that's firm, that's solid.
And by the way, he is not closing the other location to move over here. Everything's staying open. He's adding that location.
Yep, I believe that was first news broke by Beach Talk Radio.
That's right.
So, and then as you make the corner, you make the turn, the right turn there, there's a self-storage facility there that is back open. They have units available. It's a great place. That's for locals if you don't want to go off island for your self-storage. And then as you make that turn, there is a UPS store that is opening again. And that is going to be great to have that on the island, because obviously during season, it's tough to get to the post office on the north end. So nice to have the UPS store there. And then next to the UPS store, there's going to be a place called Sweet Licks Ice Cream. And it's owned by the same family that owns New York Pizza and Pasta. And I'll get to that in a minute. And that'll be a family-owned business that'll be connected to New York Pizza and Pasta. Very nice ice cream shop. I think they're going to also have Italian. Is it gelato or gelato? Gelato. And so There's a couple spaces behind that as well. And Sharon tells me they're working very hard. This seems like an odd thing to say, but Posty, and you'll understand. There'll be a place potentially, they're in negotiations to have your haircut and a nail salon, which you cannot do on the island.
Oh,
with
thank
the
God. Thank
exception
God.
of
Please, God.
Margaritaville.
He needs a place to get his hair cut.
Well,
If I have to hear him talk about that
it's
in
a
another
big
town
deal.
council
I
meeting,
mean,
I'm going to lose my mind.
But if you have to drive off island to get your haircut, you're just contributing to the traffic. It's a quality of life thing. I'm telling you what, for folks who live on the south end, you could almost live your life with all the different options available at Santini Plaza. Anyways, so next to that is Liani's, which is kind of a women's casual swimwear shop. And I think they may have a few men's things in there. They're not quite open yet, but boy, they're just stocked with goods. So they're getting close. And then, of course, the Book Nook is next to that.
Not open yet.
It's not open, but they're
Close.
having this is really important, Ed. They're having kind of an ongoing open house from Monday through Friday from 9:30 to 3:30. So if you stop by and say hello to Annette, you can work something out. But they are open as an open house from 9:30 to 3:30 because they're not officially open. So then, of course, we have the beautiful Islander gift gallery and boutique. I spoke with Anita this morning. She said to me, the one comment that Anita gets about the Islander is that people come in there. Of course, it's very popular on the island. But every time they come in, they find something new and different. So their stock is always changing. They're always getting new and interesting things in there. So if you were there a couple weeks ago and you go again, you'll find lots of new things to shop and buy. And of course, very popular as the holiday season approaches. So, and by the way, another thing with the Islander, if you Google the Islander, it says they're open from 9 to 9, but they're actually right now only open till 9 to 5. Anita's trying to get the Google people to change that, but it's 9 to 5 Monday.
There's a Google person right there. Just have her call her.
There you go.
She knows everything about
Could you let
Google.
Anita know how to change that on
I'm in
on
Anita's camp. I have no idea what to do.
I don't know how to do it either. And they're open from Monday through Saturday from 9 to 5 at the Islander. And then next to the Islander, another store that's coming, and it's a little bit mysterious. I think it sounds like they're going to have a sort of an eclectic offering of items, but it's called Off the Hook. And it's kind of a fishing / different. There's going to be a wide variety of things. It's a little bit of a mystery, but they're coming. That's firm. And then one of the things that's good news
I think they have one other location in Florida off the hook.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they next to that, which is the old Skies, and again, just pending negotiations, but where they're having negotiations for a breakfast place in Santini Plaza, which would be wonderful in what was formerly Skies. Again, no firm details on that, but that's one of their goals. And then next to that, of course, the long-standing Nesbitt Realty, which has been there for a long time. And then next to that is the New York Pizza and Pasta place. This place, I'm telling you what, I visited them in Naples. The most amazing meatball sandwich. The bread was spectacular. The meatballs, the sauce, and of course, I grew up in Wisconsin. There's no shortage of cheese on it. It is spectacular. The salads were wonderful. That's it right there. That's Parmesan. And so I'm just telling you what the owners are right from Italy. It's spectacular food, very nice people. So anyway, so that's firm, and they've kind of really been aggressively gutting that place. So I think, they're quickly moving, and hopefully they'll be open sooner rather than later. Then next to that is the Royal Shell, a real estate office is going to be there. And then, of course, next to Royal Shell, and this is a vacuum. So everybody, word of mouth, anybody who's listening, if you know of anyone who wants to start or own a sports bar, we're looking for a sports bar. That's still an area that's vacant. I think, again, as somebody who lives on the South End, if whoever opens a sports bar there, it would be hard to lose money because that would be so popular on the South End. So we're desperately looking for somebody who can facilitate that. I'm not a restaurateur, but I do respect those who are. So the next to the Sandbar is the well-known and popular South Beach place, which will kind of take the place of Oliver's. So it's kind of moving into the Oliver space. Still a very good size space, great restaurant, a lot of history on Fort Myers Beach. And then at the very end, on the very south end of the plaza, taking Truly Scrumptious's place, which was beloved on the island, which was a great breakfast and ice cream place, is an entity called Badass Coffee. And it's a very traditional coffee shop. There's branches around Southwest Florida. I've not been to one, but there will be fresh coffee in Santini Plaza. I heard that they may even be starting a little like a food cart or food truck in the next few weeks in the interim. And then in the plaza parking area, there's Synovus Bank is going to have its own mobile banking center, so you can kind of drive up and do your banking in their little computerized booth or whatever whatever you want to call it. So I'm just walking through the plaza and knowing that these are leases signed with a couple exceptions. I mean, things are really positive in Santini Plaza, so we're very, very excited.
Thank you all for
Wow.
coming today.
Yes,
thank
thank
you
you
all
so
for
much for-
participating in the
Yes.
show. Thank you to the Vice Mayor for answering all of our questions.
Somebody get this man a hit
Oxygen.
of oxygen. He needs some O's.
Ed mocks me, but when he talks about Santini Plaza on his show, it's usually the highest
For
rated
sure.
thing. People love to know about Santini Plaza. So
No
anyway,
doubt about it.
so forgive me for my filibuster.
No, we wanted that. We wanted to hear a complete update, and we appreciate that. And we're looking forward to the first restaurant open because they're going to be rich. That first restaurant that opens
Yeah, we're
in
getting
Santini
a little tired
Plaza.
of CVS, and as much as we love CVS and 7-Eleven, as much as we love 7-Eleven,
Yeah.
but we need some other kind of options, especially when season comes. Right now, all of us South Enders can head north, and we love our North End restaurants. We love our Mid-Island restaurants, but during season, that gets a bit challenging.
So the farmers market is also there on Friday and Saturday because
And I think a Thursday, too.
Thursday.
Yep.
I'm not going to be able to get a full question in with
And I
you,
think the
Mr.
Thursday, they've got produce. Produce
Did
is on
you
Thursday
guys
as well.
watch Jim on the last debate before the election?
I
He was
well
he
behaved.
did better
You
in
did
getting
really good.
the answers in 1 minute than the mayor did. Usually it's Jim that
Yeah.
he always starts his answer with,
He
"I'm not
did
sure I'm going to be able to get this in
complain
1
about
minute."
it. Yeah. But he did it. He did it. One time you were under the minute. I was
Yeah,
like, is there anything else you want to
I'm
add?
just excited about Fort Myers
Did you
Beach.
notice that his wife was holding up the phone in front of him with the timer on it? Did you see that?
Oh,
That she
no.
was so he knew to
That
get
is
it
not
under.
true. That is a vicious rumor.
How
and
come he didn't bring
completely
it?
untrue.
How come you didn't
My
bring Brenda
wife
today?
needs a break. She's about
From
had it.
us?
From you?
From it all. I mean,
I see.
this campaign, all this stuff, and she just wants a little bit of a break.
I see.
It's a lot harder on the spouses than it is the candidates. is
Oh,
honest.
I
Tell
believe
me
me.
about
Tell
it.
me about it.
So,
So,
yeah.
Jim, the farmers market is now the Friday, Saturday that used to be in Times Square is down in Santini. Is it coming back? It doesn't look like the town has repaired the bricks in Times Square. Do you plan to?
The answer to that question is it's currently part of a broader study as to what to do with Times Square. I mean, clearly we're going to make it nicer, but with respect to the bricks, I've not heard anything in specific. Clearly, all the trees are going to get replaced,
Mhm.
and hopefully, of course, the wavy wall actually still looks wonderful thanks
Yeah.
to your good work. But the bricks and the tiles and so forth, I don't know exactly what they're going to do at this point.
So you don't know that, because I understand that the farmers market isn't really doing very well in Santini on Friday and Saturday.
well, you got to remember what time of year it is.
It's
We're-
season.
Well, it's not season yet, really. I mean, there's a lot of folks coming back.
After
Every week, more condos are opening on the South End, and
All
more
right,
people
fair
are
enough.
coming back. I see it in my building. I mean, and people, when we get closer to December, it's going to be jammed.
Okay, so is it coming back here, or you don't know if it is?
I don't know if it's coming back
because
to
it's
Times
not
Square.
safe yet. I mean, it's really not safe here.
It's definitely going to be at Santini Plaza, and it's just
Yeah.
going to get better every week. And there's
Okay.
quite a few people there now. We've been there a number of times. There's a lot of activity, and it's just going to get better because I'm just telling you what, the people are flowing back. You've seen it to some extent in the traffic,
Mhm.
which I don't think it's all because of that. There's some other odd reasons going on, but I do think I think the farmers market will do very well in Santini Plaza.
Why did what?
It's just a shame because then for the people that come over to visit the beach,
Yep.
they're not gonna make that hike down there, and they might not know that it's down there.
And that's one of the big puzzles is what happens to Times Square. And quite honestly, that's a puzzle that's still
it's a big puzzle piece.
We're
it
not
is-
going to be alive by the time something gets built there. It
See,
just
I
seems
disagree
just
with that.
so
Oh, I
expensive. I just think it's so expensive. But
Well,
I
wait a
digress.
minute. He disagrees. What do you think?
No, I just think that it's such a beautiful piece of property, and it's such
No
a key
doubt.
part of our island that, whether it's half of it, whether it's all of it, whether somebody comes in and buys it all, I mean, it's just it's such a choice piece of
But
property.
do you
for
think
it to-
that's going to happen sooner rather than later?
that's the market is going to determine that, and that's where we talk about some of these projects that are going forward. That's going to encourage other economic development opportunities on the island. So we set that tone on this island. We set that tone whether investment capital is welcome. Obviously, we want to control the pace and size of it, but at the same time, we want to make sure that this is a great place to invest in and a great place to have a business on. But at the same time, it's as I've said numerous times, and we can get into all the other issues of Seagate and and Neptune and Pink Shell.
Oh,
But
okay.
let's use an example just to give people a sense of, how Fort Myers Beach has changed post Ian. So you've got Pinchers and the Wyndham down there. I'll use them because they don't have a case pending. So Pinchers and Wyndham. So whoever buys that property, they just did another offering for bids just this past week. And so they're making another run at selling that property. And there's discussions whether the current owner wants to have a minority, retain a minority partnership and so forth. But the bottom line is if somebody comes in and buys that property, post-Ian, this is the post-Ian world in which we live in. And I know a lot of people say, oh, I'm I want to keep things low and small, but I want a hotel and I want a restaurant. Well, here's the reality in which we live from everything I see anyways. So a new owner comes in, they've got that land acquisition cost, which is going to be significant. They got the cost of capital. Interest rates are extremely high right now. So cost of capital is a huge factor. Then you've got inflationary costs with respect to construction and labor costs. And then you've got insurance costs. Then you've got which have doubled in many areas of Fort Myers Beach. Then you've got the new building codes and the FEMA codes. And then you're running a hotel restaurant business. Then you have the dynamics of Fort Myers Beach. It's really very cyclical. I mean, since I've been here, we've had red tide, which was cataclysmic. Then we've had COVID. And then we have Ian. And then we've had these other hurricanes. So, I mean, you got to make your money, then you lose your money, then you make your money. You've got to be able to ride that. I'm just saying it's different here in Fort Myers Beach. Let me finish my point. So the bottom line is if you,
I'm going to get the timer out, Jim.
No, but for somebody coming in, you're going to they're going to say, I can't do a hotel or a restaurant, can't do bathrooms, can't do beach access, can't do all these beautiful things that the town wants unless we have some more height and some more rooms because the economics won't work. People say, it's not your job to determine the economics. Well, we have to live in the world in which we have the cards have been dealt. So I don't like it. I'm not happy about it. I don't celebrate it, but the times they are a-changing. And we need to be sensitive to all these things because otherwise we're just going to get high-priced, high-rise condos there or even low-rise condos, and that doesn't have any public benefit.
I need to alert our affiliates down the line that we're going to be running over by a lot today, so you want to resume your regular programming at some point.
It's such an important point. Yeah, the economics are changing.
No, Jim, I'm not disagreeing with that. I would just like us to be able to get in a few questions before the football game start at 1:00. So. You talked about the Wyndham. Is the town giving the Wyndham a special deal to not knock that building down?
They've been tagged. They've got a notice of violation. They're going to have to go before the special magistrate. They're currently letting bids for destruction and for demolition. It's overdue. They have been very helpful in allowing us to put sand there. They had they allowed us to put an emergency hospital there after the storm. But there's no reason. There's no reason for that building to still be standing. They should tear it down.
Okay, so I heard through the grapevine the last few days that this current town council is very anti-environment. I read that somewhere.
Oh, come on.
And I would like to know why you hate the environment and hate the birds and hate the turtles. Please explain it.
Well, let's first of all reject the premise of your question.
It came from somewhere. I didn't pull it out of my arse.
I know, but I still reject the premise of the question. And then that, again, I just talked about red tide and blue-green algae in 2018. That was one of those rare moments where the left and the right and the center all came together. DeSantis, the Democrat leadership in Washington, local leadership, everybody came together. We found significant revenue to try to solve the longer-term issues that involve water quality. And we have had record amount of money invested in Florida in the Everglades restoration and in clean water initiatives.
Getting way off the
topic.
But
my point is that we
back it up so everybody understands
together on these issues.
What about the town council specifically?
Yeah, let me explain to people that don't know why I brought that up. There was an editorial.
Well, you're too obtuse.
There was I thought that Jim would jump on that, but he's getting frustrated.
No, I'm not.
There was an editorial in the Beach Observer that said this town council is anti-environment. And the reason that they said that they were anti-environment was because there are new members on the MRF committee like Sharon here. Sharon is on the MRF committee. And the reason they said that is because the 5 or so members or 3 members that they loved are no longer on the committee. And so they are criticizing the fact that these people didn't get enough votes, and new members like Eddie Rude, who is a bird lover, and Sharon, and Dave Nussbaum, and I know, and Leo Sands, who are all good people. They're not
All right, I'm gonna
anti-environment,
put a timer on you.
and then somehow they took that as you guys being like against the environment. So that was really setting the stage for the malarkey.
I wish we could give Sharon 5 minutes because I think she spent many years.
Yeah.
I know she's shaking your head, but she spent many years organizing all the bird nesting activities. I mean, she was a key player in allowing all that bird nesting to work with the state and all the authorities to make sure that they have those opportunities for bird nesting on the south end. So I think I'll just speak for myself. When I voted on Murph, I like to have a diversity of opinion on Murph because I like to be challenged. I don't want somebody who agrees with me all the time. That's the whole point of the advisory committee is to stimulate, challenge, and guide the town council. And so to have a monolithic sort of ideological viewpoint, that doesn't do anybody any good. I like to have them chew on these issues, wrestle with them, and then bring them before the council. We have a wonderful, diverse group of people who I think do care about the environment on Murph now. And that doesn't mean the other people were bad people. It just was a nice opportunity to try to create some diversity of thought. And
would you not?
Can you move on?
No, I can't. Not yet, because that was
There's
a
so
major
much to
thing.
talk
I
about.
wasn't going to bring it up until they criticized the town council for being anti-environment.
I know,
So-
but he answered it.
Okay,
There
let
are
me finish
bigger
here. Just one
things.
more thing. Yeah, I know.
Right.
Well, where's he going to go? His wife apparently left town because she doesn't want
I
anything
don't
to
wanna
do
be
with
here
this.
all day with you
So,
either.
last question on this. So, what was I going to ask you now? Oh shit.
Oh.
So
I'm
you
so
see what you
glad
did? You
forgot.
sidetracked
Good
me.
job. Good
So,
job.
do you think that? Damn, it was a good
It'll
question
come up,
too.
and you'll bring it
No,
up.
so
'cause you will interrupt.
do you agree that
There we go.
the previous Murph committee kind of got off track? Did they kind of get off track?
Listen,
Yes or no, Jim?
I don't know because
Well, you voted for new members, so you must think yes.
It doesn't necessarily mean the bad.
I know
the
they're
other
your
people
friends,
were-
but you can be honest.
No, I don't know if they got off a track. I just thought I think it's good to have a diversity of thought on that committee, so they bring a variety of opinions to the council. And I think, quite honestly, when you have a diversity of thought on the committee, it kind of de-escalates the issue within the island too, because Dave Nussbaum is talking to Steve Johnson. They're having afterwards. Maybe they go and I can't have a beer because of the sunshine laws, but maybe they're getting to know each other. Maybe everybody starts talking to each other a little bit more, just like he did with red tide and green algae.
You buying this, Sharon?
We had 100%. We had 100% buy-in for the red tide green
Just
algae, right?
to be
You know
fair,
that.
to
Yeah.
be fair, you didn't change the LPA. You left them. You voted for the current members. I don't want to pick on you.
No,
today.
no, pick away because I love the LPA and I served on the LPA. Scott served on the LPA. Karen did. Dan did.
Not the point.
But we love the LPA and we had 4 members. I went to their first meeting post-Ian in an army tent in the across from the destroyed town hall. And I welcomed them and thanked them for their service, and they've done amazing. But I hear you
So,
occasionally
but
say,
do you not think the LPA should have new?
Right. There
blood
was a
like
young
the
guy.
Murph-
There was a
like the
young
Murph
guy that
committee
wanted to
did?
be on the LPA. You didn't vote for him.
Here's the difference.
Okay.
And I hear you say, you're the council different from the LPA. They must be at war with each other. They must
I
not
don't
respect-
say anything about
No,
war, but
no,
you
but
do
no, but
differ
no,
with him. I
no,
never said
no,
there was a
but you
war.
imply that there's some kind of disrespect or there's tension. There's no.
I don't. You are definitely putting words in my mouth. You do.
How does
LPA
it
makes a
feel? How does it
recommendation.
feel?
LPA makes a recommendation, and you ignore it. You ignore the recommendation.
We disagree 10% of
That
the
is
time.
their-
Oh, okay, you're saying it just a different way of what I said.
I'm saying 90% of the time we agree with the LPA. By the way, the one we disagreed with, it was a 4-2 vote.
Last two.
And the
last
other one
two.
was 5-2. So, but there wasn't any unanimous agreement in they weren't even the LPA didn't unanimously.
How do
agree.
you think the LPA members feel when they give you a recommendation and then you guys flip it completely?
They feel just like I felt when I was on the LPA,
All
and I
right,
would give a
fair enough.
recommendation. They would go different. It's like your lieutenant governor. Lieutenant governor has to subvert their views to the governor's view, just like a vice president subverts their views to the president's view. They're trying to get some guidance from the town council on an area that we really haven't entered into before. We've never had these height issues before. Some of them are just looking for some guidance. Where does the council want to go? Then we'll help them. I tell you what, I watched those LPA meetings from start to finish. I learned so much from their questions and their background. They got such great professional backgrounds. Yeah, they disagree with each other, and that's okay. That's America. We could be discerning and put these issues.
I
Also,
love when you're on the show, man. I
no, but
love
I'm
it.
just telling you that some of these issues evolve. EBIC is a great example. It kind of evolved after the LPA. Some of the LPA members who voted for it called me and said, "Jim, I got some more questions for
All
this
right,
thing.
all right.
Some of these things didn't get flushed out, and so that was great input.
Do you want a
worked
beer?
well
All right.
Do
together.
you need a beer? What do you got there? You drinking?
I'm drinking.
You need some kind of alcohol.
Water. I'm good.
Let me just
Go ahead,
ask
dear,
you.
ask a
just
question.
this should be
I'm getting
simple.
sweating right
Yes,
now.
and you're starting to get stinky, so you should take that jacket off. No, at this point, he's got to keep it on. He's got to contain that. So when you were talking 10 minutes ago, we were talking about, for a brief second, heights, density. Are you more concerned with height or density when you're looking at a project?
Where's your bell, Kim? Because that's a great question.
Thank
the bell is
you.
gone. We need the bell. So it depends on the location. For example, with Seagate, I got to be a little careful because it's still pending, but the mayor was pretty generous with his comments last weekend about Seagate. So I'll be a little more generous. Is that, obviously nobody loves 17 stories. I'm not some kind of a height addict, but I do think with 10 acres, you could absorb some of the impacts of that height. And then the trade-off, of course, is height or concrete jungle using the whole 10 acres for building. And then first of all, you don't just build it on the 10 acres, you push it towards to the Gulf, because that's where the value is. So now under this, by going higher, you deal with some great FEMA and post-Ian issues, but also you keep some nice view corridors on the Gulf side. You got a nice little road behind there that you can now take bikes through. Hopefully we'll have an alternative bike path eventually that gets people off Estero. And there's so many different other little public benefits that come with it. And we're working with a developer who's concerned about the town, wants to address our concerns. And do I love the 17 stories? Of course not. Nobody does. But
I mean, just in general. It depends on the location.
Of course, location and how much land. So if somebody says I want a 17-story building on a 2-acre plot, that seems pretty crazy to me. But when you got 10 acres to absorb the impact of 17 stories, it does make a difference.
We had John McLean on the show yesterday. We were trying to
watch it. It was phenomenal.
We tried to, thank you. We tried to talk about public benefit, and it's going to be interesting to see how the 5 members on the council and how many members on the LPA? Seven members on the LPA come up with some kind of list or ranking system when there's never going to be apples and apples between the number of acres of property and whether they're on the north end or the south end. How are you guys going to be able to come to some kind of agreement on that?
I think what it's going to come to is, and I commend the LPA for their efforts, and I've tried to talk about public benefit for a long time just to try to get input from the public. We're just going to try to come together with a list to suggest to those who want to invest in Fort Myers Beach, these are our priorities. I don't think you're ever going to see a formulaic equation that says you do this, this, and this, you get X, Y, and Z. It's never going to work that way. To your point, it can't work that way. It doesn't make any sense. And it's just impossible because something on the north end is different than Mid-Island, than different on the south end. I mean, you just can't put together some kind of a formulaic equation. But I do think it would be helpful to put together a nice list of items so when people are thinking about investing in Fort Myers Beach, these are their priorities.
So when the talk of public benefit comes up, when I was thinking about it, it's like when you think about public benefit, there are some that are exclusively public benefit. And then there are some benefits that are mutually beneficial for the developer and by extension, the public. And I feel like sometimes with some of the developments, people will say, well, you gave too much away and you got too little.
It's a fair point. And I think one of the challenges, let's use, again, a third-party entity that doesn't have a proposal. Let's use Wyndham and Pinchers. The developers that I've heard from that are interested in that property, they don't want to be in the restaurant, but they don't want to be in the hotel business because of the volatility. They want nice high-end condos because that's a pretty safe guaranteed return on their investment. We don't want condos there. We want a hotel. We want a restaurant. We want a tiki bar. We want restrooms. We want a beach access. We want that publicly accessible so people can watch the sunset, have a nice meal, have a cocktail, watch some live music, put their feet in the sand. That's why we live on a barrier island. Why wouldn't we just live in Estero? We want to access that beach life so we can kind of have that flavor of living on a barrier island. I think that's important. If we lose Pinchers and Outrigger to high-end condos, we'll never get them back. And that's a quality of life issue that's hard to calculate. It is hard to calculate. Mm-hmm. But to me, it's important. And a lot of people I talk to, it's important.
So if they were to do that, if they take that, for example, that space, because I don't know, you could answer this. If they were to do high-end condos, what could they build there by right?
Take a look at Gulf 12.
Okay.
And they're beautiful. I'm not knocking Gulf 12,
right.
but there's no activity for the public there. There's no beach access.
No, but there's
restaurant.
Also not a really high building.
That's the trade-off. But you need the economics of that to do the hotel and the restaurant and all those other things that we say we want.
But when you say the economics of it, the economics for who? The builder or the town?
Both. I mean, you can't say, okay, Wyndham Pinchers, new owner. We want a hotel. We want a restaurant. We want a beach access. We want restrooms. We want a drinking fountain. We want all these things. And they'll say, okay, but in order for us to do that, we have to have this many rooms and or this much height. And so it's a trade-off. It's an economic trade-off. And you can't just say, we don't care about your economics. Okay, we're not going to invest. We're not going to do it. I mean,
You think that they would just let it sit there? Or
I
you
think
just put
they
the
would build
condos?
what they can by right in condos. No question in my mind.
So
I
Jim,
wonder
what do
if they'd
you
make that enough?
what do
though.
you think the local election means in terms of development, the way it resulted?
I think, I think what Greg did was present a viewpoint that I think needs to be heard and has been heard. As I said in the debates, my goodness, this is not some kind of a rubber stamp for development. We said no to the Beach Baptist development, which was an eight-story building right on Estero in a neighborhood. We said no to the initial arches. We said no to the initial pink shell. They've all come back in various iterations that are smaller and more modest. So, I mean, the council's listening. This concept that we can't be discerning and consider each project case by case,
Mhm.
I just don't buy it. I think both the
But do you-
LPA and the
Do you
council have
think the
demonstrated that.
voters rejected Greg's hardline stance on height?
I think the voters want a balanced approach. I think they
Okay.
want us to be discerning. They don't want us to give away the store. And there are some that are firm to the way it always has been, and there are some that just say build anything.
Mhm.
And we've got to find that happy, sort of moderate middle ground, but keep this island moving. We can't just say no to everything. We have to
Right.
have solutions.
Right,
Well,
right.
you said yes to Meyer's side, and that was a big bump in density.
But it wasn't though, Kim. It was like 15 units. I mean, that's not a huge bump. And we get this
They-
beautiful building.
They had 12, and then they could by right build how many? 30.
What I remember
and
is there
then
was
they got-
15 additional, right?
And
15
then they
additional.
got 49.
I thought the way I read the case, if I remember correctly, there was
Oh.
15 additional. It was modest. Even with your numbers, it was modest. And in return for that, we get this health and wellness
But from
retail space.
12, well, I mean, if they can do that,
I don't think it was originally. I think it was more than 12 by
All right. Can you
I
guys
don't
stop
think so.
arguing?
I guess it's 12. But so
Right.
if they promise to try and get, do you know what I'm saying? That's hard.
Let me
It's
tell you-
hard to hold them to that, because if they offer the space to a dentist, a PT, a health and
and
wellness,
then
and
if
they
they-
can't afford
Are we
it,
going to make them tear the building down? I mean, come on.
Well, that made it challenging because you can't mandate that someone have a doc. Ones if a doc won't come here.
Yeah.
I mean, so you've got to make it. So I tried to put some incentives in there. If they get a doc, if they get a physical therapist, if they get a dentist, they would get some nice parking opportunities from the town.
Oh, boy,
which
you
is,
got beat up on that one.
that's okay. I don't care. I mean, I want doctors here. I want a place where you can go to the dentist. I want to have like a normal life on the side. I want to have
Yeah.
to drive to Naples to do basic living stuff.
Right.
I'll take that all day long. People want to beat me up for what a place to get your hair cut on your
I
island.
know.
Is that
Again with the
asking a lot?
haircut. Somebody please come to his house and cut his hair, please. No, so let's just hypothetically say that so a piece of property comes available on the Bayside where the property owner has zero density and they want to build a resort. Are you okay with that?
Well, that's a pretty broad, no detail example.
Well, I think you can
So if they
understand
had-
why
if-
I'm asking that.
why he's not giving you detail.
No, I'm not sure I do. Understand.
On
Be
the
more specific.
Bayside of the north end of the island, if you have a piece of property that you
Oh,
own,
I see where you're going. Yeah, I see where you're going. Well, they have a right to some density, obviously, but yeah, but they're going to ask for more.
Yeah.
And that gets back to that public benefit. Is that linear park? Is that water
well,
taxi terminal?
to you, is it?
Again,
If you've already, can I say any
Yeah.
more?
He was gonna answer it, and
Well,
you
No, I'm
interrupted
saying
him.
if
Try.
if you've already given up,
I think they gave up the density, and they're going to ask for density. I mean, I love the building.
they gave up already have given up quite a bit of
Yeah.
density in terms
Yeah.
of I have
to
not.
get it on the other side, though.
Yeah.
So now how can you give it
Are we
back?
talking about the same thing?
Yes,
We're talking about
I
the
think-
arches, right?
no,
No.
the pink
Never
shell.
mind.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're talking about the pink shell. I'm sorry. We weren't on the same page.
Gotcha. So I mean, they do need to
I think
offer enough to get density.
I think that pink shell one will be fascinating to
yeah,
watch.
yeah.
I think that will be an example of new density in return for public benefit. And I'll be fascinated to watch the LPA meeting. I think the same will be, I think it'll be really fascinating to watch the Neptune discussion.
Yeah, well,
because-
don't jump ahead.
Yeah.
So I don't want to ask specifically about the project, but if you have no density, I'm guessing you're going to want a crap load of public benefit.
That's a great question, Ed.
Yeah.
We'll see how the LPA chews on that on Tuesday.
And I love the pink shell, and
Of
I
course,
love that
I do
building,
too.
and
I
I
get
think
it.
they're great for the community. So that's
no,
why.
now I thought you were about
Yeah.
the arches. I'm following you now. I think that's a great question. And that
Yeah.
will be a fascinating
So you
deliberation
you
on
brought up
Tuesday.
you brought up the Neptune. The LPA has the Neptune on its agenda on Tuesday, I think.
Tuesday as
And
well.
I have to be honest with you, even though I love the Continental Hospitality Group, I love those guys.
Mhm.
They have not been a good neighbor to the community. I walked along the beach. The fence is down on the pool side. You can walk into the pool. A kid could easily walk up that beach and jump in that pool. The fence is down. Does that play any role in what I mean, they really have not cleaned up that property. They put a fence around it.
You know, that's another great question. You know, with EBIC, people forget. It was right next to Diamond Head. They tore it down. That debris sat there for 6 months. I walked by it every day to get my mail on Estero Boulevard. The mold and the urine from that debris pile sat there for months and months and months. You know, do I hold that against them? No, but it does affect credibility issues. You know, when I'm hearing their case, I want to make sure we're going to hold them. I want to make sure that the evidence that we get is solid, because that was a challenging time. And I think that Neptune piece, they say it was because their bankers wouldn't let them tear it down. I want to hear that discussion again. I want to,
but that's not your problem.
No, my point is, if they have a legitimate reason, that helps, but it's still.
But what about these people who think that's not their problem? That's their home.
Yeah, that's the posty and bizarre world in which we live in.
Sure.
I mean,
like the Hoosiers building. Why is that thing still standing? I could have walked right through it yesterday.
That's been tagged as well. And again, you've got insurance issues. You've got issues with ownership. And of course, you've got due process issues. I shouldn't say issues. Everybody's entitled to due process.
Here's where really needs to.
But you know, we're
here's
moving
due
on
process. Andy and Frankie just need to get into a wrecking ball machine and drive it up and down Estero Boulevard, knocking down these ugly buildings.
Last time I checked, we live in America.
Yeah.
Thank
you very much.
You can't do that. I mean, you got to give people their due process. It's a pain. It's ugly. I don't like it. But you've got to give people their legal right to due process. I don't know. It's not easy, but you know, the town, it was difficult. And a lot of the council pushed our town leadership hard on that. And they've now got a process where we're moving on it. And quite frankly, once these folks get noticed, many times
this building up here,
it never has to be litigated. They just get, oh my goodness, we got a notice. We better tear this thing down.
Do you guys remember that building up here? What was the name of that?
Tropical Sun?
Tropical Sunset. They got red tagged, and that was going to be the first building the town knocked down. Sorry, I got gas somehow. And then they at the last minute they went and knocked it down themselves. So that building is down.
Let me digress for a quick second to Kim's earlier question about Seagate. I would encourage, and if you have, I know you did a nice clip of Alex King in his testimony, or it's just when he gave his comments, I think on first reading,
testimony,
or maybe at LPA. Well, it was kind of like a testimony, and I think I would encourage you, if you could find Fran Meyer's comments. One of the things that Fran said under oath, and I know people say, oh, she made this money off she didn't want to sell that property. That was a horrible time in her life. Her husband was very ill. She didn't want to sell that property. She didn't sell it to the lowest bidder. I'm sorry, she didn't sell it to the highest bidder. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things she said in her testimony, and it was very powerful, She's lived on this island for 50 years. She's owned that for decades, didn't want to sell it. She said that when the red coconut was in full force, she said that Seagate would be 1/3 less the density than the red coconut. So you've got more height, no additional density, you have 1/3 less density
than
you did before.
What she was, to dumb it down to my understanding, what she was saying is that she had so many people in that RV park,
she had 250 sites. Technically 2 on a site, but she said she had an RV group from Germany where the RV had like almost coffins for beds, and they had 30 people in the RV, cars everywhere. They just were packed in like sardines.
Yeah.
So when we talk about density, it's basically saying how much traffic are you going to add to Estero Boulevard?
Yeah. Well,
now we're going to add less than we had before. That's not, we're not going to have very many opportunities to do that. I'm just saying, when Fran, people say, oh, Adderholt, you had a prepared response when you made your motion. How you must have had your mind made up. Well, I also had a prepared remarks to say no as well.
Really? Can I see those?
I just wanted to be prepared. I'm not going to show you those.
Why?
Because I didn't have to say
no. Are they in
no.
the public domain somewhere where I can make a public document request?
That's irrelevant.
By the way,
but the point is that Fran's testimony was pivotal, I think, in that hearing, because not only are you getting the same density, you're getting 1/3 less density with this new development. And yeah, there's a height issue, and I hear people, and I get it. I get why they're angry about it. But the world's changing.
But the pro and against that development was 50-50 that day. It wasn't. I mean, in the public comment at the town council meeting, if there was a raging hatred for that development, that room would have been filled. And I was surprised that there weren't more people against it, because I read my dumb page, and I'm not calling the people on the page dumb, but what I'm saying is it was crazy against.
I know there's a vocal group strongly impassioned about the height issue, and I respect their opinion. I've heard them, I listened to them, but there's also a pretty significant portion of this island who wants to move forward. And they're kind of, I don't want to say afraid, but they don't really want to go on social media and have that combat. They just want to move
Right.
on with their lives.
Right,
And,
right.
and they don't get heard quite as often. And
Well,
that's a big number of people.
Yeah.
You know,
Go
and
ahead.
I'm sure someone's going to correct me if I'm wrong, which I'm sure I am. But with Seagate,
And why are you going to
it
say it?
seems like, well, because it's an opinion. I'm going to,
Oh, I see.
yeah, that people, the big thing was height, because you mentioned it's less density. It is not on the Gulf side. It is far removed. So do you feel like it was just the height that people objected to?
I think that was clearly the leading issue. No question about it. I mean,
And that faux park that you guys really raked Matt over the coals. It wasn't really a park to begin with, and he really does want to do right by the community. I mean, I've known Matt a long time, and he really
You
wants to
mean
be
where
a
the-
upstanding citizen in this community. He sees what Alex King is doing. He sees what Jorge is doing. He wants to be somebody that
You mean
is-
putting the park across the street?
the park
No.
wasn't a park. It was a
like
roundabout with a
roundabout.
sidewalk.
It was,
and-
but the roundabout, he was just trying to be transparent, saying the county may make me do this. I hope it's not. I'd rather have a park, but there's ways to make that park a lot better, and we're pushing him on.
And really, what he's saying is, trust me, guys. That's what he's saying. I'm going to make it right. And you don't really know yet. You don't really know. You don't have any experience with him.
Well,
yet.
we also don't know what the county's going to demand as
Yeah.
well. So but to your point, someone like Matt, again, I'm not people. We're all buddy with these developers. I don't hang out with Matt. When I meet with him on site on the location. And it's all transparent, and so I don't.
Right,
I
and you're
just-
allowed to meet with
I
them.
care about Fort Myers Beach. I mean, I want to
Right.
make sure the island moves forward. I don't want us to see us stagnate. So I think, but to have like a Tom Torgerson living on the island, he was at our school. He was at the school board meeting fighting for the beach school. I don't think people realize how unusual that is. If we push off this round of investors who are local, who are Southwest Florida, we even got one who lives on the island just a block away. I mean, I don't think people realize the next round of investors are going to be out of state, out of country. We're going to see them right when there's the initial ask. We'll never see them again. This concept of having their cell phone number and asking them and pushing them on issues, and they're going to have lawyers. They're going to be lawyered up. I mean, we're very blessed right now. And again, we can still disagree with the project and all that, but we really have a good group of people that are trying to be responsive. Are they trying to make money? Of course they are. I'm not an idiot. I know that, but the economics have to work for them to make the investment, and we have to do that to make the island.
So
move
can
forward.
I ask you real quick
Yeah.
about London Bay? When was the last time you spoke to Mark?
It's been a while.
The last storm that came through, I'm only asking this because I got a couple of emails about it. Like the last storm that came through, knocked down their fencing, and they really did a nice job of blocking off both the Outrigger property and Charlie's, and they haven't really cleaned up.
Nope, agree with that 100%. And I've actually 6 months to a year ago, I reached out to Mark because the lawn wasn't mowed, it wasn't cleaned up, and I said, "What are you doing? This looks terrible." Next day, it was completely. So I will inquire on that because
Okay.
it needs to be cleaned up. It looks terrible. And I now noticed the Church of the Ascension had similar challenges. They've been out and they're making progress on cleaning that up because I don't think people realize. I mean, people who live here realize Milton and Helene was very devastating to our island. It wasn't Ian power, but it was very destructive. I was just with Chad on Friday. We went to Leonardo Arms, the condo next to it, which is my old building, which is Bermuda Dunes. And I can't describe to people the destruction that is occurring behind that building. I mean, they literally lost the earth and sand next to their pool and half
Bermuda
of their,
Dunes you're talking
Yeah,
about, not Leonardo Arms.
well, right, but Leonardo Arms is right there, but they had some damage as well that came over that seawall. There's still tremendous challenges there, and the town is trying to put kind of an emergency berm there, pre-renourishment, which is coming soon, which will be very helpful.
So for a little bit of history,
I'm just saying,
not
there's-
history, but to lay the groundwork, some people in Bermuda Dunes feel like that seawall in front of Leonardo Arms
I've heard it.
caused the damage in Bermuda Dunes
heard it.
underneath their building.
I've heard it, and I'm not a coastal engineer. And the first thing Chad said was, we need to get a coastal engineer out here. Everybody's got their opinion on that, and that'll be discussed in future
By the
dates.
lawyers.
But I don't. But it is. I just want people to realize that Milton and Helene. I mean, even in my condo building, we're over on the base side. We're putting all new baseboards in. I mean, everybody's getting hammered. And, things are going to have to change on this island. People say, we did this in 1995, and I love our comp plan. I've affirmed our comp plan, but The fact that this island needs to change post Ian. It can't be the same. I wish it was the same. I love Fort Myers Beach, but boy, it could just drive around this island after Milton. It's rough out there, and people have been through a really rough time.
Ugly. It's ugly.
So we need to just to kind of push, not give away the store, but we need to push forward and adapt to the times. And just
we talked.
Height's not everywhere,
right.
But that's a unique situation. Where do you have 10 acres where you go from the Gulf to the Bay?
We talk about this at home all the time, and she's going to deny it, but what the storms have done is the storms are going to kick people off the island that will not be able to afford it anymore. I mean, there were a lot of people that lived in these dungy little one room, areas for $500. I mean, really, they shouldn't. They were tiny things that didn't take a category 5 to knock down, but they were able to live on the beach, and that was. That they got lucky for a long time, and the storm came by, and it's really going to change the economics of the beach. It really is.
I think I would think most people grasp that things are not going to be able to be the same. That you're gonna, just the FEMA regulations alone, and just what they saw. Nobody wants to go through that again. They do want bigger buildings that can withstand that. It's just, I think it's what you said, without giving away. It's getting a little bit more from these developers for stuff.
You should extort them a little more like they did at Margaritaville.
I'm all for pressuring them for everything we can get. I'm just saying the economics are a little bit different now than they were before. Ian.
Like I was having a conversation with somebody. I don't think he said it was okay for me to say this, but so I'm not gonna use his name. But so what's real public benefit to the town if you're Seagate? Well, donate the entire piece of property on the beach side, then you can have 17 stories, and the community would flip out good about that. We get the entire piece of property. Tom donated a shitload of property to the town. A full parking lot. He donated property at the base of the bridge for the county so that they could fix this turnaround thing there or whatever they're going to make over there. And so, that's a lot of pressure, and that would be some pain. That would be some pain right there. We're feeling some pain right there, giving away property.
I asked 20 different questions. I asked Matt. I pushed him on a number of areas, and I welcome my colleagues to push as well. And we'll trust me when I say I will extract everything that I think is
park.
Yeah.
That would.
So how about when he buys the Junkanoo property, you get it?
I don't know if you remember my query, but when I was challenging him because on that property there's going to build 68 really nice homes. Wouldn't it be nice if he leaves a couple of those lots vacant to enhance the view corridor? He obviously
heard that loud and clear.
Recoiled at that, but certainly heard it loud and clear.
Yeah.
So I'm going to push, and I all I could do is what I could do, and I've got 4 other colleagues that can push as well, and I welcome them to challenge.
You are giving something. You're giving. You're giving them something. You want something in return.
Agree 100%, and I've pushed on a number of areas, but also remember going up like that and not building a concrete jungle and massing it on the.
I'm talking about in general.
That in and of itself is a part of the public benefit. He could have just said, "Let's do a concrete jungle." And
I wish you would have showed that picture. I begged him to show that picture where there were buildings all around the town.
There was a reason he wasn't going to show it because he wasn't going to do it.
He didn't want to feel like he was threatening the community.
That's right.
But I don't think he was going to do it either. Do you?
I don't think he wanted to do it. I don't think he thought that was the best use of the land.
I think he thought he had the votes at the town council, and he was right, and I was totally wrong.
I don't know that he thought he had the votes.
Well, he had to have a good thought that he had the votes, or he wouldn't have went. Okay, I'm going to tell you something. No, I shouldn't say it. I'm not going to say it. I'll tell you guys after the show when the camera's off. The conversation I had with Matt. I'll tell you guys.
But
after
I think
the show.
if you're given
just
something,
for this audience here. So can we move on?
I don't think you've gifted. All right.
I would like to be able to ride. I would like to be able
to
to ride my e-bike on the sidewalk. Is that going to be a new ordinance change for the town?
Just based upon the M&P discussion this past week, and we've got a lot of input on it. Your site gets a lot of input on it. I'm a biker. Brenda and I just rode our bike to Bowditch yesterday on the beach at low tide. A traditional bike. I don't have electronic bike.
I was going to say.
No, never, we would never do that. But when we went down the beach, by the way, there's a lot of people here on Fort Myers Beach. And we even saw the tuba player yesterday. It was great to have him back.
Oh, I remember
when the previous administration tried to shoo him out of town, which was very sad. And the tuba guy was just such a great piece of the eclectic puzzle.
Right. He belongs on the beach, just like the preacher.
I love that. I don't know about the preacher, but he certainly has his First Amendment rights wherever we can figure what those are. But my point is that by the way, we went down when we go to Bowditch, we always walker bikes up to the top of that little mound on Bowditch Park where there's a bench.
Yep.
There used to be a big kind of a mound there. Now it's like a cliff because we've had such horrible erosion there. Beautiful place to watch the boats go by. And it's the highest point on the island. A lot of people say the Bound House is, but I think over at Bowditch, that's the highest point on the island. Heavily damaged from the end, but still very cool. So to your point, I think
Which
we're going.
was the e-bike thing, right?
I think this is called the weave. You got to go weave in and out.
You're weaving.
So the sidewalk thing, just based upon the tone of my colleagues, my sense is we're moving in that direction. I've asked for some language in there that try to give our enforcement folks some tools to go after the knuckleheads who pass without giving people some kind of a notice and who don't slow down before they pass. Is that going to be the be all and end all? But we've got these idiots on the sidewalks already doing rude things anyways. 95% of the people are very courteous and kind and yielding, but we also have people who are older. We've got people with kids. We've got people with dogs on leashes. When these folks zip by, whether it be electric or traditional bike, because you can get a traditional bike going really fast as well. It's, you just got to be kind and respectful for your neighbor. How do you legislate that? I don't know, but we have to have something in there.
John McClane, I think, was the one that said it yesterday. You should just be allowed to shoot them if they go over.
That's not what he said.
He didn't say that yesterday?
No.
Somebody said that yesterday.
Yeah, I think that was you. I think people are going to take care of it
It's just going to take
themselves.
one clothesline. Somebody's going by, and there should be a one walker, and you just clothesline them off the bike. No, don't get violent, people. I'm not encouraging violence. I just think, well, first of all, the e-bikes are already on the sidewalk, and nobody's getting a ticket for it. So
one of the candidates said he rides on the sidewalk, regardless of what the ordinance is.
You just have to use common sense, especially between the Red Coconut and Times Square, where it's like the suicide run. I rode my bike from here to Lover's Lane, and it wasn't a high traffic time of day, and you still, when you hear those cars going by you,
it's horrifying. Yeah,
in the road, I ride in the road because I don't want to.
Plus, you can go fast enough where you can keep up with the traffic.
No, I can't. No, they're going 30 miles an hour. How fast? I'm 60 years old,
you
bro.
Can go 30.
Jeepers creepers, and I got warts all over my knees. I can hardly pedal, and so when you hear those cars going by, it's like being tortured. I mean, it really is. And I don't want to ride on the sidewalk because I don't want to scare the pedestrians.
Right, exactly. But we also need to let the public, particularly our visitors, know that, hey, here's the rules. I think we talked about making sure the rental companies, the bike rental companies, I thought Dan had a good point to have the rentals also let their folks know. Kind of fun to see him and Dan going back and forth because Dan obviously owns some bikes and Scott owns some rear rentals and see them making sure that if you're going to mandate it on me, I'm going to mandate it on you.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of fun. But I think it's good that they both let their folks know that these are the rules. But you also have people going on the bikes now, even traditional bikes, and there's people on the sidewalks who are angry because they think it's illegal for you to be on the sidewalk. So you'll get a snarky comment or an elbow or whatever. And so we have a lot of education to do.
Scott.
We just got to be kind to each other. See you, Scott. And so I think we'll figure out a way to get it done. I pushed really hard to not be on the beach.
I agree
don't
with
think
that.
we're ready for that. We have birds and children and all kinds of things on that beach. It's a beautiful beach. It's a place to kind of get to be safe and escape the insanity of life. And so what'd you say?
We got a question from the audience. Joy, what are you yelling at over there,
Question or a
Joy?
heckle? I don't know.
Oh, so
I think on our enforcement guy, who's really good, a retired police officer, he said he'd recommended do not do it on the beach, just too dangerous. And again, there's an environmental impact, and quite honestly, most people with a really nice electric bike. I was we were riding our traditional bikes. Most of them are these big. You've seen our bikes. They're aluminum. They're big tire, no speed, no brakes, and I had to go
brakes.
Well, no safety brakes. I'm sorry, no squeezy brakes. They have the traditional back pedal brake. But when you're riding, when we were going underneath the pier, it's all roped off now. So you had to literally go in the ocean to go around to get go north. So, but your bike gets ruined if you're electronic.
So somebody is commenting. I wish I could see your names. I have no idea why I can't see anybody's name. The people that are watching on Facebook can apparently see the names of the people commenting, but I only see Facebook user. Somebody says e-bikes on the sidewalk is too dangerous. If you're going too fast, it's too dangerous. I mean, if you see somebody like Debbie mentioned on our page that she rides her bike on the sidewalk because I'm guessing you feel unsafe in the road, and you have an e-bike. Did you ride your bike here today? Very nice. And so, but she's not going to try and speed by somebody on the right-hand side and clip them with the handlebars or something. She knows.
I mean, you're just
always
people
use
have
common
some of
sense. You
those,
have to use common sense. I think if you had a few signs up. if you had a few, I know people are like, they don't want to oversign. The county says you don't want to oversign. But I think if there were a few strategic signs between Times Square and Red Coconut about the riding on the speed limit on the sidewalk for the bikes.
Speed limit. Can't use speed limit because the law enforcement cannot track speed on a bike.
No.
They don't have the technology or the
Ride slow.
Dear, how many
there
times
you go.
did
Courtesy
we
of
see people go
pedestrians.
through Times Square and they had those
I know.
big circles with the
Because-
X through
because-
the bike?
Okay, and I knew,
And that's on the ground.
but the answer to that is nobody except you. Nobody rides with their head down on the ground.
No
Everybody's looking straight ahead.
They're
They want to
looking
see a
straight
sign.
ahead. They're not looking for a sign.
Okay, dear, but they're not riding there with their head to the ground.
It was big. You could see it from a distance.
Nobody-
Somebody sent an email the day before our M&P hearing. It was some great language about, and I don't have it in front of me, but something about you have to slow your momentum to the point where you don't have to come to a stop, but you before you lose your momentum,
Yeah.
you've got it. And he had some great language that we could put
Yeah.
in there that
I can do it.
that an enforcement person could look at. And then you also have to have some kind of an audible,
Yes.
make some kind of an audible
I
noise.
thought about we should do a fundraiser and just buy like hundreds of bells and
Little
just
bells.
give them away to people. No, you're
Put
laughing.
them on every bike.
You're mocking me. No, somebody was asking me about my jacket, why I was wearing the jacket today. I wear a
Oh.
bright jacket and I have 16 lights on my bike because when I ride it, I want to be seen and I want to be heard. So I was scrolling through Facebook one night and I saw this bell. Like it sounds like a car horn that's attached to a light. So I bought it and you get on the horn. Now, you don't want to do this to a pedestrian. You just want to use it when a car is starting to swerve into your lane. You want to hit that. But I think if you have the cool little
Just
bells
the little,
between Times Square and Red
the
Coconut,
old style ones.
for sure. Yeah,
Well, I
people will
think you
know
should
what's
do
going
that.
on there.
Maybe have the town's logo on top of it and give them to every bike place.
and I'm sure Deb will tell you this in off season,
ding.
when you're on the sidewalk, I've had situations, it doesn't happen very often in the off season, where I can literally go from Times Square all the way to the south end of the island on the sidewalk and never see a pedestrian.
Right.
And the sidewalks are huge on the south end. So, I mean, we want to utilize that as a transportation corridor,
Yeah.
but we just
Right.
want to be kind and respectful to others. I mean, yeah.
All right. Enough about the e-bikes. We know that's going to pass. The other question is, how does the town's boat get stolen?
Well, I talked to Andy about that before I came on, and it was just one of those things. There wasn't a lock on it. It was an older boat with an older motor. It's fully insured. Shouldn't have happened, but stuff happens. I mean, it should have been more secured, and I'm sure it'll be fixed in the future. But
You think it's going to come back? I mean, how do you get away? How do you?
It's got the town's logo on it.
Yeah, I assume you could strip that off just like you do a car. They go to
Yeah, but there's got to be, you guys have those cameras.
There's gotta be cameras. It's a big boat.
I don't know.
Do you think somebody from the town stole it on purpose so you can get the insurance money?
Oh my God, you're an
I mean,
idiot.
I just got to ask this tough
You're
questions.
an
I mean,
idiot.
I didn't
It's
even
not
know.
a tough question.
He brought up
That's
the
a dumb
insurance thing. I mean, how?
It's, well, the Andy said it's fully insured, and it's just stuff happens. I mean,
I
don't
just
know.
don't know how
kidding about the
something
insurance.
that big
I'm kidding about
doesn't
the insurance.
get picked
I don't
up
think
by
that would ever
somebody
happen in the
visually
government.
seeing it or
But,
it
they-
being on
some-
somebody's
sometimes
ring
you get
camera.
people come. We saw this with the looting after Ian. I mean, people come by
Thank you.
boat and they do bad things and they sneak off by
I
boat.
know, but they get taking a boat. It's big, Jim. It's
Well,
big.
it's also in a canal. There's not a lot of people back there. I mean, it's.
You think they put it in the canal and took off with it?
Well, I don't know. Was the boat in the water? What
I don't think it was in the water. I think they just
Oh.
hooked it up to a truck.
Well, then you
It's
know
a
more.
lot.
You know more than
It
I
was
do.
hooked up
Yeah.
to so the gate was open, the trailer was unlocked. I mean, come
I
on,
got you,
this.
I got you.
I mean, you know what most people think, inside job. I mean, how would you? I love the town. I
don't
love
think
all the
it's
town
an inside
employees.
Job.
I
I
don't-
just
I don't
think,
know. I
how
just
do you
don't know.
not
Yeah.
see that going down? It's like a
What is that?
parade.
What
It's
is
like
that
a
new boat?
float.
What is that new white boat I saw in your driveway when I went down past your house? I mean,
It
What are you
wasn't. It
looking- I'm
wasn't. It
not
wasn't
looking-
a new boat. Yeah, it was an old, an old motor as well.
Do
But
they
none
have
of-
VINs on them? Did that
No
get
kidding.
scraped off? Like,
Crazy.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
a great question for Commander Lawler.
Somebody's got to have. Yes, somebody. There's got to be an eye in the sky. Somebody had to see something. Please.
Who do you want to be the next mayor of Fort Myers
We're
Beach?
going to set up a
I'm-
hotline
I'm
for
setting
it.
that up because every year, the way the town government is set up, if you didn't know, is a strong town manager and a weak mayor. And I don't say that in a derogatory way. That is the way they describe this town government, same way in Sanibel. Strong town manager, weak mayor. The town council is not supposed to talk directly to any of the employees. They're supposed to go through the town manager. Town manager hires everybody. The council hires the town manager and the attorney, and then the town manager hires everybody after that. And then every November after the election, the town council will vote in who the next mayor is going to be. And whoever gets the majority votes is the mayor. Who do you want the mayor to be?
Can I give a long answer?
Well, that would be totally unusual for you,
Like
but feel
2
free.
minutes?
So first of all, that you said the paradigm very nicely pre-Ian. Post-Ian, it really hasn't been like that.
Correct.
And rightfully so. Dan has become more of a traditional mayor.
Yes.
Not by charter, just by reality
be
and,
by
and-
charter.
and necessity. And that's a discussion
I've
for another
always
day.
said that this town should have an elected mayor.
Post-Ian, he has had to assume the role of a traditional mayor. Many people outside of Fort Myers Beach who aren't familiar with their charter think he's a traditional mayor. And again, all of this is very appropriate. Post-Ian, we desperately needed a mayor. We had an interim town manager, two of them for 6 months. We've got a new town manager who had an acclimation period. And so we needed a traditional mayor, and Dan has filled that role. So I would say this. After Ian, Brenda and I were on the island for Ian. We were at Bermuda Dunes on the 9th floor. And the next morning after the storm, we came out and, of course, saw the destruction and tried to help where we could. But it was madness. And we had some elderly people in our building, so we stuck around just until they could get out with ambulances. So we didn't have anybody come to the south end for at least probably a day and a half because they couldn't get through the debris fields. It was just so horrifying. And the South Bridge, of course, was shut down because of there was concerns about engineering issues or safety issues. So I'm like, where's I'm seeing all these planes flying over, all these, Coast Guard people and hearing all this stuff, but nobody was there. And people were walking down Estero Boulevard, dazed and confused with shopping carts. It was post-apocalyptic. So I'm sitting in there, I'm texting everybody I know. I'm like, where are you? Where is everybody? Is anybody going to come to the south end? I mean, Brenda and I were okay, but we had a lot of elderly people down there that were struggling. And so nothing from our town manager. Didn't hear anything. Didn't hear anything from our town manager for 2 weeks after the storm. 2 weeks. So a day and a half in, the cavalry comes. The National Guard, the construction guys, the police, fire. They break through. It was I get goosebumps thinking about it. And they broke through this mess on Estero Boulevard, and they just went all up and down Estero. They started rescuing people. We had some wonderful firefighters from New York, New Jersey came up. They took their gurneys up, walked up, 13 flights of stairs to us in our building. Took some people who had mobility issues out. Just beautiful. So this is day 2 of this, and so I get a call from Dan Ehlers, who was just a councilman at that time. He was not looped in by the town manager on anything. And he says to me, I'm like, Dan, how you doing? He's like, I'm going okay. And before he says anything, he says, hey, can you and Brenda man an aid station at Santini Plaza? We've got a shipment of supplies we want to disseminate. Could you guys just man the aid station? I'm like, why are he's the only one who called me. And here he's got, I'm like, well, sure. How are you going to pull all this up? Because I knew he was on the island as well. And all of a sudden, so Brenda and I go over to Santini Plaza, and this big pickup truck full of supplies. Kim's in the passenger seat. Dan's driving. And we set up this aid station in Santini Plaza, which we're happy to do. But I'm like, Dan's not even in the loop at this point.
Yeah, I remember those days. You remember those days when we were all hanging out at FMB Strong. And so that's where that whole thing kind of.
So I said to myself at that moment, I looked at Brent and I said, hey, this guy, this is somebody I can follow.
Yeah.
He's treated this thing like a full-time job.
Yeah, for sure.
Plus overtime, especially that first year.
Yeah.
It was kind of a full-time job for me, but for him, it was a full-time job with lots of overtime, making $19,200 a year. And he did it, and he just was outstanding. Do we agree on everything all the time? No. But that experience that day, I'll never forget it. And as long as he would like to serve and is willing to serve, I think in my mind, just given that life experience, nothing against any of my colleagues.
Sure.
I just think that I can't forget that.
Will you make the motion on the? Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Will you make the motion to nominate him as mayor on the 18th?
Well, we'll have to see. I always call it the most awkward day in local government because it's always. I remember. Well, I don't want to get into the past, but it's an awkward day. So we'll have to see how it flows. But certainly.
So again, I would like to make a motion here today, and feel free to second the motion if you'd like to. Two motions, actually. I think the town manager is underpaid, and that's coming from somebody who I think the previous town manager was way overpaid for the performance that he put on the table for the residents. But I think Andy needs to. I don't even know if he plans to stay because I'm sure he's gone through crazy. That guy's gone through crazy stuff from the building falling in Sunrise to 3 storms or 4 storms or 20 storms, whatever it's been.
Surfside, yeah.
Surfside, sorry.
That's all right.
And then here he is putting the pieces back together here on Fort Myers Beach. He's underpaid and he deserves a raise.
Well, election's over, and I tried to keep the election or the electoral process as positive as I can. But since we're talking about the mayor, we're talking about Andy. I don't think people, I think you realize it, and I'm glad you don't dwell on it because it's just dwelling on the negative, but people have no idea.
Him dwell on the negative? Come on, Jim.
In this area, he's been pretty well behaved, at least in the last year. But after that storm, I don't think people have any idea the strained relationship with our town mayor. I'm sorry, with our town manager, with the sheriff's department, with the county commissioners, with our own fire department. He had no relationship with the legislature. And we came in post-Ian to one of the most critical times in our island's history. Not only did we not have a relationship, but we had a strained relationship. And that was devastating to our island. And so when Dan and I, after the storm, we started getting calls from the state officials saying, hey, we can't have this. And we obviously were having an election with John and Karen were running. And we knew we'd probably, at least at that point, have 3 votes for change.
And the stalker was running too, but yeah,
we had
John,
3 votes,
Karen, and the stalker.
3 votes for change. If one of the 2 won, so 2 of them ended up winning.
Mm-hmm.
And so Dan and I separately from each other, because we couldn't talk to each other, but we're talking to these state officials, having interviews with Chris and Keith, who are our interim town managers, turned out to be phenomenal. And so the election comes, we have the swearing in of the new members, and that first action we took was to change the town manager. And, one of the council members wanted to keep it the same and try to keep Roger on for a while longer. And he had to go. And these were very difficult times, but that leadership shift and that move we made, and that which later led to Andy, gave us the luxury to find a permanent town manager. We would have been nice to have Keith as well, but it gave us the luxury to find Andy. Given the relationships now with the county, the state, the sheriff, the fire, couldn't be better.
I remember.
So he needs a raise.
I don't know if he needs a raise. He just needs a
He
boy.
definitely needs a raise because he took less money than what the previous town manager was getting. And I don't know what the proper dollar amount is for a town manager, but if there's a way to pay Andy more for the job well done, is what I'm saying.
At a minimum, he needs a boy, and he's at a life stage now where he's happy to serve. And I mean,
and the other
you
thing,
gotta let him go.
The other thing too is back when you were talking about, I remember having conversations with Adam Botana saying, you guys need to make some changes down there. He was saying that as the election was going through, the storm comes through.
We were in crisis.
Yeah.
We were in crisis.
And the other motion I would like, you seconding my motion? Does anyone want to second my motion about Andy getting raised? Thank you. Any further discussion? It's unanimous. The second one is the mayor's salary of $19,000. Come on. It should be $35,000.
Every so often we have a charter review committee that can change our charter. The salaries are referenced in the charter.
How do I get on that committee?
Plus the COLA. I think you have to be a resident. Sorry.
Everybody knows we're not.
So when the charter's up for renewal, that we'll have that conversation as to whether we should transform it a more traditional mayor. I think one thing I like about our system, though, is that I like the fact that the council votes for that mayor, not because I don't want the people to vote for the mayor, but that if the council votes for that mayor, the mayor's going to at least have 3 votes to accomplish the agenda of the town. And I'd hate to see a situation where we have a mayor that doesn't have the support of the council, and all of a sudden you've got that tension, and that just creates gridlock. And we've seen that enough in Washington. We don't need that at the local level.
All right, last question. It's already 11:30. I can't believe it's been an hour and a half. But the last question is the trailers on the 18th. One of the things that you said that might lead to the trailers being able to stay was that if Trump got elected, or Senator Rick Scott might be in a better position to put some pressure on FEMA to get off our back down here. What are you hearing?
I was giving a political speculation. I wasn't trying to be partisan, but obviously, if the White House changes hands and the Senate minority becomes the majority, obviously Senator Scott and Senator Rubio have enhanced authority. I mean, but I don't care what your politics are.
It's a natural thing.
Everybody would agree with that. So the other dynamic, of course, is Senator Scott's also running for Senate Majority Leader. Long shot, to be honest. It's a long shot.
Let him answer.
I'm just saying there's a lot of variables out there. And and we just saw some news accounts where FEMA was not going to help people with a Trump sign in their yard. There were certain memos that went out. I mean, so clearly FEMA, at least at some levels, politicized. And so I think there's a chance. And again, all we're asking for is, why would we have this ban at the end of hurricane season? Can we let folks transition through
Right.
season and be able to through when the hurricanes are not a threat, and then maybe we can revisit it in the spring? I mean, I don't think it's terribly. It's not asking a lot. It's just kind of asking for
No,
common
I mean,
sense.
do you think there's a likelihood that common sense will prevail in that
You have
situation?
to remember the inauguration is not till January 20th. So, it'll be interesting to see it again. The way the town has devised the system, anybody with a trailer will get a notice of violation, and then they've got a process. They get their due process, so they'll go through the
So the
special
18th
magistrate.
comes, they don't move the trailers, they get this notice from
Or
the town.
some of them have already got a notice, and so but they'll
But
have
30 days, when does the 30 days start from?
depends when they get their notice.
It's when you get
Yeah,
the notice.
yeah,
So if
yeah.
they get the notice on the 18th or the 19th, which is our 30th anniversary, by the way,
Beautiful.
then yeah, well,
Don't say it like that. You know it's not like that.
it's tough. It's a cross I bear. Anyways, then they have 30 days. It's 30 days from then.
Well, it's when the special magistrate sets the hearing time, and so hopefully that'll give them some time. And the special magistrate might say, "Hey, look, you've got a plan to rebuild, and we think it's reasonable, and we'll let you have some more time." Then FEMA later may say, "Fort Myers Beach, that's tough," and they may try to punish us. And that they do. Let's say they do that. They're going to make their decision on November 18th. So that's the big date of November 18th. And so then they make a decision, and then all of a sudden, come January 20th, somebody takes a fresh look at it. Maybe they reverse that decision. I mean, it's a volatile time, and so hopefully that volatility works in our favor.
All right. Anything else before he comes back and starts to digress again?
Wow.
Did we cover everything?
I think these poor people who had to suffer through all this, God bless them. No, I think it was a good exchange, and I feel passionately about this island. I love this island. I've got no other interest in it doesn't mean I can't disagree, but just because somebody disagrees with it, that doesn't mean they're not my friend. That doesn't mean they love the island more or less. I love engaging in the discussion. I love I would say this, Kim, is that if folks are going to write us, and I welcome any contact we get, instead of just saying no or yes, it's really helpful to say, "Hey, here's why," or "Here's a suggestion.
Right.
Here's a thought. Here's how
The
we could do it
solution.
differently."
Mhm.
I mean, this guy who wrote us on the bike thing actually provided language that will probably end up being an ordinance. I mean, I welcome the solutions. I want to move forward. It doesn't mean we can't, be tough on some of these issues, but at the same time, let's keep moving forward. Let's do it together. I mean, I know it sounds like such pablum, but I mean, This island doesn't need the division, and we need to come together, and we need to work together. Well, we're going to disagree. It's going to be tough, but it doesn't mean we can't disagree agreeably. So that's my goal, anyways. I'll
All
try
right.
to set that tone as best I
Ladies
can.
and gentlemen,
Thank
the
you.
Vice Mayor of Fort Myers
All right,
Beach,
thank you for having me.
Jim Adderhall. Wow. Dan Allers has never gotten a round of applause that loud. Wow. I'm just kidding. So I did want to say thank you to Sharon. Sharon, come on over. Sharon is the newest member of one of the newest members of the much improved and what's the word I'm looking for, Sharon? The less radical Murph committee. So take that. And you brought us some cookies. What is this?
Those are my favorite.
What are these from here?
Is this working?
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, everybody can hear you loud and clear.
I have to get them online, but they are so good. You'll order them after you taste
Okay.
them.
Do I look like I eat cookies, Sharon? I mean, why did you
No,
bring me cookies
no.
and not rice cakes
It's
or
just,
special
I just
rice
happened
cakes
to
or
have them for
something?
you.
Yes. So are you excited to be ready for them? Are you ready for the Murph meeting? I know
Oh.
you're not meeting in November because
Right.
they had to do a revote or something. So
Yeah.
you'll be
Right.
meeting in December. But
Yeah.
I mean, when you read that editorial, did it bug you?
Well, yeah, kind of. Everybody needs to get along, and that's the whole idea.
Mhm.
That town council is exceptional.
For sure. 100%.
100%. Chad working with them, all of them they spend endless hours. Nobody appreciates.
Yeah.
Nobody appreciates.
When I did a
Yeah.
walk around with Chad when we were doing the beach renourishment review of that whole thing, you can just tell how knowledgeable he is on all of that stuff. And he
Absolutely.
was getting picked on by the last Murph committee, which I thought was unfair.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
and so you guys will have a chance to make your stamp on the environment. And I'm sure you care just as much about the environment as the previous folks.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And I happen to be from Castle Beach. We have a huge beach. We didn't always have that. That didn't come until 2001.
Mm.
We had water up to our building. Okay.
Yeah.
And so that when that happened, from then on, the presidents who managed the directors of Castle Beach all agreed to work with Florida Fish and Wildlife and Chad
Mhm.
and his predecessor
Mhm.
to make it happen, to make the birding a good event, that it would end up with shorebirds that they were honestly leaving the area, and they're back. They're all back.
It's so cool to see them when you're down there. When
Oh,
they're
they're
around the
beautiful.
Wyndham area. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
So I do want to say, I think the town council made one mistake. I wish they would have voted Rose Larkin back on the Murph committee. Rose is she's like a master gardener, and
Okay.
so Rose gets up in front of the town council and she starts talking about how great the other Murph members are, and they're fine. And then the other Murph members that she was complimenting get voted in, and she didn't get voted in, which was, I was like, oh my gosh, Rose, you should have just talked about yourself for the 3 minutes that you're up there. But she's not that kind of person. And I just feel like nothing against Rob. We're friends with Rob. He's a ranger at the Pink Shell, but he lives in Punta Gorda, and I think Rose lives on the island. And I just think she should have got reappointed, because I think she's got, again, not taking a shot at Rose or Rob or anybody else, but she's like a master gardener. I mean, I don't even know what the hell that means, but it sounds important to me. Like, are you a master gardener?
No.
I'm a master gardener. I mean, that was one of my previous jobs, being a master gardener. I mean, it's just no. I'm gonna miss Rose. We didn't agree on everything, but she was so. It was always great to talk to her, and we could have these discussions about different things. And she was always helpful with the volunteer stuff we did.
Sure,
So,
sure.
so what is your number one goal when you're on the Murph committee? And I'll let you go.
Oh, boy.
Buy cookies for everybody.
Right. How about that? That'd be easy.
All right. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you. And good luck
Thank
on the
you.
Murph committee.
Thank you
Big
so
hand for
much.
Sharon Heckstrom. She's going to be on the Murph committee starting in December when they meet again. So before we let you go, everybody, I need to tell you about Parrot Key. Parrot Key is located just on the other side of the bridge. And Jorge is going to come up here one last time. Jorge, come on up here with your bright Hawaiian shirt. Parrot Key is located, you go down over the bridge, and I need to tell you a quick story about my bench on the other side of the bridge. And you make a right-hand turn, and you go almost to the end. It's by Salty Sam's Marina, and they are the official Green Bay Packers bar. But the Packers are off this weekend, so they have a bye. So you can go down there and probably watch all the NFL games. They have the Gatlin Dinner Show, which started back. Have you guys ever seen Gatlin? I mean, they're crazy good. They have a huge following, and they have $39.99 twin lobster tails every Sunday, which is today, if you're keeping track at home. They have seafood steamer pots on Wednesdays. I have no idea what that is, but that sounds yummy. So go to Parrot Key. They're a great sponsor of ours, or you can check them out online if you want to see their menu at myparrotkey.com. Thank you to Parrot Key for being a sponsor. So I bought these. I bought an ad on the back of a bench. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen it. Well, you can't see it now. I bought the ad on the back of a bench. So if you're coming over the bridge, if you're leaving the bridge, there's a bench, the bus bench that I bought an ad for. It's like, I don't know, it's like $1,300 for the year. Well, the benches have been moved because of the construction. So there's one bench on one side, there's one bench on the other side, and my bench is in the middle. So nobody can see the advertisement at all. It's the worst marketing I've ever done. And the reason I say that, what is that smell? Somebody is smoking weed behind me. Wow, I'm getting a contact high right now. Holy smokes. Can you smell that? Holy Christmas. It's kind of, I feel like I'm going to pass out right now. I've never smoked pot in my life. I've never taken one drag off a doobie, and I'm getting so high right now. I will not need. Who is smoking weed over there?
The lady behind you
smokes.
just kept saying, "It's not us."
Jeepers creepers. So I brought up the marketing thing because you are a master marketer. You see your signs everywhere. You got a great logo, and you know what you're doing out there. So tell everybody about Jorge Barrera.
Well, hi everyone. My name is Jorge Barrera, and I'm a realtor here on the island. I don't live here, but I really, really love the island. I grew up close to the beach back in El Salvador, and everyone here, from the moment I started doing business, is just, I got some, clients that have been very, very loyal. Just right here in this right now, there's like 2 or 3 clients of mine who have given me the opportunity to represent them in that transaction. Over the years, I got Debbie right here. And I hope you don't mind using your name, but they have been my clients since they bought the old log cabin almost across the street from the Beach Baptist Church. I met him on a Sunday. They just called me. They wanted me to come and see him, show him the house on a Monday because it was raining. I said, no, I'll be there. That was back in 2019, 2020. And ever since, they've been my clients and my friends now. So, to me, it's not just about, just selling you a house or doing a transaction. For me, it's always about just, building relationships that are gonna last a lifetime.
Yeah.
I just had a closing yesterday.
Nice.
From
Where?
someone right here in Madison.
Madison. How much?
It was 822,000.
Sweet.
Just very,
Very
close
nice.
to the bay. But the point with that is a client that already bought 3 houses after the hurricane, and they
Gotta have somebody you trust.
They used to come when they were kids because his grandma used to have a beachfront cottage. Okay, so they love the island. Now they're older, they have their own kids, and they continue. They believe in this island, and they continue.
Yeah.
I have Donia here too, and
Yeah,
Mike also.
yeah.
Customers. That met me through Beach Talk Radio. So I'm building my business organically.
Yeah.
And people just word of mouth, and I think I'm blessed. With
And
the type of
when
business I get.
we talk about 820 Buttonwood all the time, and this is where we met. We met at 820 Buttonwood when we were literally all standing in the muck of that place back during Hurricane Ian. And it's crazy that it's been over 2 years since that storm. It's just freaking crazy.
It is crazy. It seems like you just blink and the time has gone. I remember Debbie and Jamie sent me a video the day after the hurricane because they walked to their house, and that broke my heart.
Yeah.
Just seeing my clients losing everything, and that's when we decided to just get boots on the ground, me and my wife, and as much as we can volunteer.
They're building a nice
continue.
house now, though, and I got my own room in that house. It's so big.
It is a gorgeous home, and it couldn't happen to
In the
a nicer
garage.
people. So.
Yeah. All right, Jorge. How do people get in touch with you?
The easiest way is to get a hold of me is just through my cell phone, 239-791-9893. And also, I just got a new domain name, which became available because my website used to be jorgeswflrealtor.com. And I was able to secure just Jorge Barrera.
Oh, very nice. Yes. All right. Awesome. Thank you, Jorge. We appreciate you coming on. Jorge Barrera, everybody. Thank you very much, Jorge. And I apologize to everybody in the listening and viewing audience that I didn't know this was going to be a Joe Rogan length show today, because you know what happens when you go on Joe Rogan? You could be the next president of the United States. I didn't mean to bring up national politics. I didn't vote for. All right, everybody. My name is Ed Ryan, Mr. Irrelevant, according to some people, but that's okay. We appreciate you coming out. We appreciate all your support, and we will see you next Saturday live from Margaritaville. We have great guests lined up already for next Saturday, so take care. Bye-bye.